Next, we have determined the solution to the system of inequalities this time. And so our solution is going to be a region of overlap between these two inequalities. So let's take a look at the first inequality. We can notice that it is written in y equals mx plus b format. So which means we can see what the information is just by looking at it. So first let's talk about what this line is going to look like. We have this greater than symbol, y is by itself, which means this is going to be a, there's no equal sign there, so this is going to be a dashed line. And since it's by itself, we're going to shade above the line. Okay? And we're going to do that once we get our information there. So we can see that we have our y-intercept of 0, 4. So we can go ahead and plot this on here. So black 0, 4 is right here. And then our slope is going to be this -1. So that's going to be -1 over 1. So we're going to go down 1 and then over 1. So we can keep doing that. But basically this is a quick sketch. And I'm sorry, this is supposed to be dashed. So it's going to be dashed and shade above the line. Okay, so that's the first one. So next we have the second equation, which you can see has, it's not isolated, y is not by itself. So that's going to take a few steps and an extra tip to remember. So we're just going to leave it like that and get intercepts from this. So if we get, if x equals 0, then -2y is equal to 6, which means that y is -3, because -2 times -3 is positive 6. And that gives us the point 0 and -3. And then if y is equal to 0, then x is equal to 6. So that gives us the point 6, 0. Now, before we plot those two and draw a line, we need to know from our sign if it's going to be dashed or solid, and it has an equal sign. So it's going to be solid. And how do we know where to shade? We're going to go ahead and test. We're going to test 0, 0, the origin. So that means we're going to plug in 0 for x and 0 for y. And we're going to ask ourselves, does the left side, is it greater than or equal to 6? And this is going to be 0 minus 0, which is not true. This is false. So if it's false, that means we're going to shade on the other side of the line. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this down. So we have an y-intercept of -3. And we have an x-intercept of 6 right here. This is going to be solid. And we're not going to shade the region where the 0, 0 is, the origin, because that's a false statement. That means we need to shade on the other side. So that means our solution region is this overlap right in here. So next, let's determine the maximum and minimum values of the given objective function, k equals 3x plus 4y. So here we have the feasible region already drawn out from the 4 inequalities, and they all make a little polygon here. And so we're going to, all the little intersections, all the vertices that we see, we're going to test. Okay? So starting with 0, 0, and testing all the other vertices, we're going to see which one has the lowest and highest values. So 0 for x and 0 for y, well, that produces 0 plus 0, which is 0. And then 0 for x, 6 for y is going to produce 0 plus 24, which is 24. Then we're going to put 3 and 5 in here. 3 for x and 5 for y. That's going to give us 9 plus 20, which is 29. And we have 5 for x and 0 for y, which is going to give us 15 plus 0, which is 15. So we have our minimum value, which is 0, and our max is 29. So this is going to give us a minimum at 0, 0, and a max at 3, 5. Okay, now we have percent change, and we have a 6-month diet and exercise program that produced the following results. So we have January 1st, 223 pounds, and June 30th was 190 pounds. So we're going to use a formula, new minus old. So we want to find the difference between the two, and then divide by the old, and then multiply that by 100%. Okay, so this time we're going to have 190 minus 223 divided by 223 times 100%. So that's going to give us negative 33 over 223, which is going to equal to negative 14.8%. But in terms of a increase or decrease, if it already says decrease, I'm just going to say it was a 14.8% decrease. Okay, so if I use the word decrease, then that takes care of my negative symbol. Our last question is going to be about repayment amount. And let's say we borrow $10,000 for 5 years at a simple interest rate of 12.3%. How much is the total repayment? So basically repayment is not just the interest, it's the original amount. So we got the principal plus the interest. So first of all, what is the principal? Is going to be $10,000 plus the charge to borrow the money. So that's going to be interest. So we're going to remember it's PRT. So 10,000 times 0.123 times 5 years. And that's going to give us 6,150. So we're going to put that over here. So the total is going to be 16,150.